Nova Eden was a small human colony on the edge of the galaxy, far from Earth, far from wars, far from trouble. It was a peaceful place, green fields, blue rivers, and small white houses built under the sky of two suns. People grew crops, raised families, and lived quiet lives. Children laughed in the parks. Old men sat outside and played chess. Robots helped with farming and cleaning. There were no soldiers, no weapons, and no fear. For 10 years, nothing bad had happened, until one night. That night, the stars seemed darker. The wind was quiet. And in the sky, just above the horizon, something moved. It was silent. It was black. It had no lights. No one saw it come. Not the farmers, not the drones. Not even the space monitoring station at the edge of the colony. The only person who noticed anything was a 12-year-old girl named Lena. She woke up from a bad dream. Her room was cold. Too cold. She looked out her window and saw strange shadows. In the field, tall shadows. Not human, not machines. They moved without sound. They didn't walk, they floated. She called her father, but he didn't answer. She went to his room. The bed was empty, still warm. The house lights began to flicker. The walls shook. A deep sound like metal grinding against bone filled the air. Lena ran to the door. Outside, the sky was turning red. Not sunrise, not fire. Something was burning in the sky above. Something falling. Pieces of a ship, maybe. But there was no explosion. No noise. Just a strange red mist in the air. In silence, she heard her neighbor scream. Then silence again. Lena ran. At the same time, a small cargo ship named Silver Trail was passing near Nova Eden. It was just delivering supplies, nothing special. But its crew picked up something strange, a broken signal. Static, then a voice. Then more static. The voice was weak. A man. He was afraid. This is Nova Eden, please. Anyone? They're here. They don't talk. No mercy. Oh God, they're taking us. Then the signal stopped. Gone. The crew tried to contact the colony. Nothing. Total silence. The captain, a man named Harlan, frowned. That place has a full communication tower, he said. It should be working. His second-in-command looked scared. Should we report this to command? Harlan nodded. Yes, and mark this place. Something's wrong. It's very wrong. 6 hours later, the Human Alliance Command on Mars sent a scout ship to Nova Eden. It arrived 18 hours after the distress signal. What they found was worse than anything they had seen in years. The colony was destroyed. Buildings were broken. Farms burned, streets empty, no bodies, no blood, no signs of life, just ashes. In silence, Commander Reyes led the team. Where are the people? He asked. The scanning team replied, gone. All life signs gone. No humans, no animals, not even birds. How? Reyes asked. They didn't know. Then one of the soldiers pointed at the ground. Sir, look, there are marks in the dirt, footprints, but not human. Too long, too thin. And they weren't just pressed into the ground, they were burned into it. What the hell walked here? Someone whispered. They followed the trail. It led them to the old town square. There in the middle was something strange, a symbol drawn with fire. It glowed softly like hot metal. No one could read it. Not human language, not alien. It felt ancient. Rong Reyes turned on his helmet camera and sent the image to command. Back on the ship.
Ow!
A technician noticed something else. He played the last recording from the colony's main tower. It showed the final 15 seconds. Before the system went dark, the camera showed the fields. People working, talking. Then suddenly, the sky turned black. Not dark. Black dot, as if something huge had covered the sun. Then a shadow fell over the camera, and the screen turned to static, back at the ruins. The wind blew. It was dry, cold, empty. Reyes stood quietly. He looked at the houses, the toys on the ground, the half-eaten meals on the tables. Where did they go? He whispered. Just then one of his soldiers called out, Sir, we found something. They uncovered a small escape pod. Hidden under a collapsed building inside was Lena, alive, eyes wide, clothes burned, silent. She didn't speak. Not at first. Reyes gave her water, food, a blanket. After 1 hour, she whispered one word. They're still here. Reyes froze. Who? She shook her head. They don't have names. He looked. Around everything was quiet, but now it felt different, like something was watching them. Far above, behind the clouds, a shape moved, big, silent, and in the cum system. A soft sound returned, not a voice, just breathing. Commander Reyes looked at the young girl. Lena. She sat quietly in the corner of the ship, shaking. She had not slept. Her eyes did not blink much. Every time someone entered the room, she flinched. She's scared, one of the medics said. More than scared. It's like she's broken. Reyes turned back to the colony ruins. Nova Eden was still smoking. Drones flew over empty houses. Robots searched underground. Still no bodies, no. Blood. No signs of a fight. Only silence. It was as if everyone had just vanished. On the third day, Reyes' team found something strange in the center of the colony. The soil was not normal. It was dark and dry. Yes, but some areas looked melted, almost like metal had been poured and cooled there. Private Nico, a young soldier, knelt beside the strange earth. Sir, he said, this isn't just burned, it's changed. The soil isn't soil anymore. He picked up a chunk. It cracked like glass. Reyes touched it with his glove. It was hot after 3 days. How is this still warm? I don't know, Nico said, but it feels wrong, like it's alive. That night, temperature dropped fast. The sky turned gray. The winds screamed across the colony like voices. The team set up a base camp in what used to be the town hall. Lena finally spoke again. They don't like fire. Reyes looked at her. What? They come when it's cold, when it's dark. But fire keeps them away. That's why we burned the fields. Reyes was confused. You burned your own farms? Lena nodded slowly. It was the only way to slow them down. Later that evening, one of the patrol teams didn't report back. 2 soldiers, both trained. Both armed, Reyes sent a search group. They found one helmet cracked. Open. No body. Just the helmet, sitting on burned soil, still warm and nearby in the dirt. Or footprints. Not human, not animal. Thin, long, burned into the ground. One of the footprints was inside the soldier's boot print. Whatever it was. It had stepped there after him. That night, the base camp alarms triggered. Reyes jumped from his bed. What's going on? Movement outside the fence? The guard shouted. 10 meters, then gone. Camera showed nothing. Just flickers. Blurs. Glitches. Then Static Reyes ordered everyone to stay alert. No one goes out alone. Helmets on. Weapons ready. Looked at the sky. Something moved behind the clouds. Again, big. Silent in the morning. Lena pointed to the forest near the colony. There's something there, she said. That's where they took my mother. Reyes didn't want to go. But he had no choice. He took 6 soldiers. They moved through the tall dead trees. No birds, no insects. Only silence. And then they found it. A hole. Not dug, melted. A black tunnel leading deep underground. Inside the tunnel, the walls glowed faint red. Scan it, Reyes said. The drone entered first. The live feed showed a long tunnel, metal walls, strange symbols. Then it stopped. The screen showed something tall, thin, standing still, then black. The drone was gone. 1. Soldier Private Diaz panicked. Sir, we need to leave. This isn't right. Reyes nodded. We're leaving now. As they turned back, the wind picked up. Then they heard it. A sound none of them could explain. Not a roar. Not a growl. something worse. Breathing loud. Wet. Close. Behind them, they ran at the colony. The camp was already under attack, not with weapons. With fear, the lights flickered. Batteries drained fast. Communications failed. One soldier reported hearing, whispering inside his helmet. Another said he saw a child standing in the hallway. But she disappeared. Lena was screaming now. They're here. They're in the ground. Reyes returned to chaos. One man was missing. No sign, no sound. Another sat frozen, staring at the wall. Couldn't speak. The fear was spreading. Reyes knew they couldn't stay. But before leaving, he had one last mission. They went back to the tunnel and blew it up. Fire, heat, and metal. It shook the ground. Lena smiled. They don't like fire, she repeated, as their ship left the surface. Reyes looked down at Nova Eden. It was peaceful again, but the soil was still burned, still warm, still waiting in his hand. Reyes held a small recording device they found buried near the tunnel. It only had one message, a man's voice, tired, weak. This isn't an invasion, it's a harvest. We weren't attacked, we were collected. Back on the ship Argon 1, Commander Reyes stood in the medbay, watching Lena. She had been quiet again since they left Nova Eden. She didn't cry, she didn't scream, she just stared at the wall, at nothing. Sometimes she whispered, words no one could understand. Reyes asked the doctor, will she be okay? The doctor shook his head. Her body is fine, but her mind. He looked at the screen. She saw something not meant for human eyes. Reyes sat beside Lena. I need you to help me, he said softly. Tell me what happened. Down there, what did you see? For a long time, Lena didn't move. Then she spoke. They didn't just take people, they changed them. The ship was heading toward the nearest human outpost for safety. But during the journey, something strange happened. One of the soldiers' private rels started acting different. He stared at the walls for hours. He stopped sleeping. He started mumbling strange words, and his body began to change. Not on the outside, on the inside. The med team scanned him. His heartbeat was faster. His brain activity was strange. It's like something was talking to him, but from inside his own mind. Then he screamed and ran. The lights flickered. Doors locked by themselves. Screams echoed through the halls. When the soldiers found Private Rel again, he wasn't human anymore. His eyes were black, his fingers longer, his voice gone. He didn't walk, he floated, and he attacked. Without warning, it took 10 bullets to bring him down. But even then, he didn't bleed, just black smoke rose from his body. Then he crumbled into ash. Reyes stood over the ashes. What was that? He asked. Lena walked in behind him. He saw them, she whispered, and they saw him back. The captain of the ship, a strict woman named Soraya, called a meeting. We must report this to Earth Command, she said. Whatever attacked Nova Eden, it followed us, and it can change us. Reyes agreed. This is not just a rescue mission anymore. It's a warning. They searched the ship for signs of infection. Everyone was tested, scanned, watched. But then something worse happened. The ship's engines failed suddenly. No warning. No error. Just silence. The ship floated in deep space, powerless. In the dark, strange things happened. People heard voices, calling their names, footsteps in empty halls, whispers in the air vents. Someone found the words, "We see you," written on the wall. In blood, but no one had a wound. Lena sat in her room, alone, but she wasn't scared anymore. She was angry. They took my mother, she whispered. They took everyone, but they made a mistake. She stood up, her eyes glowing faint gold. I saw them too. Reyes visited her again. She looked older now, not physically, but inside, like she had seen too much. You said they'd change people, Reyes said, but you're not changed. Why? Lena looked straight into his eyes. Because I resisted. Reyes frowned. Resisted what? The voice. she said. It comes from the soil, from the burned ground. From them, it whispers promises. Shows you your worst fears. If you believe it, you become theirs. Reyes stepped back. And what if you don't believe? Then you see the truth, Lena said. They're not gods, not monsters. Just hunters. Later that night, another crew member disappeared. This time, there were no sounds. Just an empty bed. It burned footprints on the floor. Reyes had seen enough. He walked into the control room. We are not going to sit here and wait to be picked off. We fight back. We reach Earth. We warn the galaxy. But how? Someone asked. They're inside our heads. They turn us into weapons. Reyes looked at Lena. She survived. So can we. Reyes and Lena worked together. She told them where the voice hides, how it spreads, how it tests you. They made a plan. Block the voice, burn the infection, reboot the ship. It was dangerous, and it worked with fire and old code. They burned the voice from the ship's systems. The lights came back. The engines roared. The ship began to move again. Lena stood on the bridge. Looking into the stars, they thought we were weak, she said, but they woke something worse. As the ship moved toward Earth, one last message was received from deep space, a signal. Weak, strange, translated by AI, it said. Your fear feeds us, but your anger burns. The ship Argon 1 was back in motion. Commander Reyes stood at the main window, watching the stars fly by. The crew had survived something strange, something beyond logic. But deep in his mind, one question stayed. Why Nova Eden? Why attack a peaceful colony with no weapons? Why leave no trace? Why Lena? He needed answers, not guesses, not theories. Real truth and Earth Command had one lead. Secret project. A name whispered once by a dying officer, years ago, Project Black Rain. The ship reached Juno Station, a hidden base near Jupiter. It was cold, silent, guarded by AI drones. Reyes and Lena were taken underground. The walls were black metal. The air smelled like dust and old secrets. They were met by an old man in a long coat, bald head, robotic arm. His name was Dr. Vale. He spoke without greeting. You want to know why Nova Eden was attacked? Reyes nodded. Dr. Vale turned to the wall. Hologram lit up. It showed the colony, the green fields, the smiling people, and then deep underground, something else, a huge black structure covered in symbols. Older than human history, that, Dr. Vale said, is the reason. According to Vale, Nova Eden wasn't just a colony, it was a test site. 40 years ago, human scientists found a strange object deep under the planet's surface. It pulsed, it hummed, whispered. They called it the heart of soil. Some said it was alien. Others said it was ancient Earth tech lost in space. Whatever it wasn't asleep, and they woke it up. Black Rain was the name of the program, too. Study it. Secret labs were built under the colony. Experiments were done. Data was collected then. The voices started. We thought we were in control, Dr. Vale said, shaking. But we weren't studying it. It was studying us. He showed a video clip. Scientists standing around the object, laughing, taking notes. Then the screen turned red. One by one, the scientists dropped to the ground. No wounds, no screams, just silence. And when their bodies were found, they weren't them anymore. Reyes clenched his fists. Why didn't you destroy it? We tried, Vale said. We bombed it, buried it, burned it. It can't be destroyed like that. What is it? Elena asked. Vale turned slowly. It's not a machine, it's not alive, it's a door. Reyes frowned. Door to what? Vale looked at them. Both, not where. Who? Lena stepped forward. I saw them. The dark. They live behind the soil, behind reality. Dr. Vale nodded. They don't come through ships, they come through minds. He tapped his robotic head. They speak through thought, through memory, and once they enter, they don't leave. In the dark of Juneau Station, alarms suddenly blared, warning, internal breach, unknown presence detected. Reyes and Lena looked at each other. Reyes pulled his weapon. "How did they get in?" Dr. Vale whispered. "They didn't. They were already here." They ran through the metal halls, lights flickering, doors locking, screams from the control room, then silence. In the center of the station, they found it. Another heart, smaller, but pulsing. Glowing red. Vale dropped to his knees. No. Had to. One on Nova Eden. One here. We thought we could control it. Reyes aimed his weapon. "Can we destroy this one?" Lena stepped closer. The red light reflected in her eyes. "We can't destroy it," she said calmly, "but we can shut the door." "How?" Reyes asked. She touched the heart. Her hand didn't burn. It didn't shake. Instead, it glowed. The ground shook. Walls screamed. Images flashed through the station, memories, deaths, alien symbols. Reyes fell to one knee, gripping his head, but Lena stood tall. "I'm not afraid of you," she said to the heart. The pulsing stopped. The red glow faded, and just like that, silence. Later, as emergency lights blinked on, Reyes looked at Lena. "You shut it down." "How?" She looked tired, older, but calm. "They tried to change me back on Nova Eden. They failed. Now I understand them." "Ow!" She looked at Dr. Vale. "You opened the door without asking what was on the other side. You gave them a path." Vale lowered his head. "I was wrong." Reyes sent a full report to Earth Command. "Project Black Rain is over, but the fear isn't. The hearts are silent now. But how many more are there?" Many doors were opened before anyone noticed. Reyes looked at Lena. "One last time. You're not just a survivor," he said. "You're the key now." Lena nodded. "They fear fire. But now they'll fear me." The Earth Command Council sat in silence as the message ended. Lena's face appeared on the screen. Calm, cold. Her words still echoed in the chamber. "You didn't lose Nova Eden. You gave it to them." Commander Reyes watched from the observation deck of Argon 1. Below, the burned colony of Nova Eden waited, silent again. But it wasn't the same. Nothing ever was. Earth Command had approved a dangerous mission. Return to the planet. Destroy the original heart. Cleanse the soil. Burn the door shut. Dash forever. Lena stood beside him, wearing black combat gear. She no longer looked like a scared girl. She looked like a weapon. "I'm ready," she said. They landed at night. The forest near the colony was dead. The trees had turned to ash. The sky above was darker than usual. No stars, just clouds that didn't move. But Lena didn't look up. She looked down. "At the soil. They're waiting," she whispered. "Reyes, Lena." And an elite strike team moved through the ruins, flamethrowers ready, drones scanning. Nothing moved. Not even the wind. But they all felt that something was watching. Near the center of the colony, they reached the old tunnel, the one Reyes had ordered destroyed. It had reopened. The walls were melted again. The ground was warm. Something below had healed the damage. "They rebuilt it," one soldier said. "Like it was alive." "No," Lena replied. "It never died." The team descended. The deeper they went, the more the walls changed. At first, they were metal. Then stone, then something else, not rock, not flesh, something in between. The tunnel pulsed like a heartbeat. They reached a wide underground chamber, and there it was, the first. Larger than before, glowing bright red. Symbols moving across its surface like worms under skin. Reyes raised his weapon. "Lena," he said, "can you shut it down like before?" She shook her head. "This one is older, stronger. It won't shut. It has to burn." She pulled out a black case. Inside was the flame. A Cora, small nuclear firebomb, is designed to burn through dimensions. One use only, and someone had to place it directly inside the heart. Before anyone could speak, the ground shook. Screams echoed. Through the tunnel, high and sharp, figures stepped from the shadows. Not human, twisted, tall, skin like black glass. Faces like masks, eyes glowing. They didn't walk. They floated. Lena stepped forward. She didn't run. She lit the torch on her wrist. Bright orange flame. The creatures stopped. They remember fire, she said, and then she attacked. Flamethrowers roared, the chamber filled with heat and smoke. Screamed some human, some not code off the walls. Lena moved like a shadow through the chaos, fire in both hands, face calm. She reached the heart. It pulsed faster. Now like it was afraid. She opened the black case. The flame core glowed white-hot. Lena, all back. Reyes shouted from behind a burning wall, but she didn't turn. She placed the device against the heart's surface. It hissed the heart. Cracked. The symbols stopped moving. The whole chamber screamed a sound no one could forget. Lena turned and saw a creature taller than all the others, with no face. Just a hole where a mouth should be. It whispered in a language that hit her brain like fire. You were supposed to be ours. Lena stared back. I was never yours. She pressed the button. A white light exploded through the chamber. Not fire, pure cleansing flame. The creatures burned. Without sound, the walls melted. The door closed, and Lena was gone. Hours later, Reese woke up on the ship, wounded, alive. So, were two others? They had pulled him out before the full blast. But Lena hadn't made it, or so they thought, until the ship's system received a final transmission. Just one sentence, her voice clear. That the fire is not gone. It has only started. Nova Eden was declared burned clean, but in space, the stars whispered, in quiet minds across the galaxy. Something stirred, and now it feared her. The heart on Nova Eden was destroyed. Lena was gone. The fire had silenced the enemy for now, but peace didn't return. It just changed shape. Now, the war wasn't in space. It wasn't in colonies. It was inside minds. Earth Command received strange reports from across human space. A pilot on Mars crashed his ship, saying he saw his dead sister talking to him from the stars. A scientist on Europa deleted 20 years of work after hearing whispers in her dreams. A soldier on Titan locked himself in a room and screamed for 2 days. She's coming. The fire girl is coming. But Lena was dead, wasn't she? Commander Reyes, now grounded on Earth, watched these reports. He saw the pattern. They're not sending monsters anymore, he told the council. They're sending thoughts. The enemy was speaking without words. It was inside weak minds. Lost souls, broken hearts, where fear lived, they whispered. A new agency was created. Section WW for Whisper. Their job: find the infected. Silence the spread. Contain the madness. Reyes was asked to lead. He refused. Containment won't save us, he said. We need to understand it. Instead, he formed a small team of survivors, people who had heard the whispers and resisted. He called them the Flameborn. Each one had seen death. Each one had heard the enemy. And each one had chosen fire over fear. Then, on a quiet night in New Toronto, it happened. A signal, not a transmission. A feeling. Millions across Earth stopped moving. For just 3 seconds, and they all heard the same whisper. She lit the first flame, but she could not stop the flood. Panic spread. Was Lena alive? Or had the enemy taken her? Reyes dug into old files, hidden data, forgotten logs. He found something. Strange Lena's last message. The fire is not gone was sent from a system outside the galaxy, a place called the Black Hollow. No ships had ever gone there. It was believed empty. But now, it burned. Reyes made a choice. He left Earth, took a stealth ship, and flew toward the Black Hollow alone. But someone was already waiting for him. He found a small station floating in the dark. No lights.
Ow.
No signal. But inside a single candle burned. And sitting next to it, Lena, alive, changed, eyes glowing gold, a skin marked with fire symbols. Hello, Reyes, she said softly. He stepped forward. You survived? I didn't survive, she replied. I became... Lena explained. The first flame didn't kill her, transformed her. She saw the enemy's true face, not as monsters, but as ideas. Living thoughts, feeding on fear. Born in dead worlds, they couldn't be killed by bullets, but they could be burned from memory. That was the real war now. A whisper war. They attack minds, she said. So we must light the fire inside minds, Hope Reyes asked. No, she whispered. Truth. The truth burns. They returned to human space in secret. Lena now had a gift. She could hear the whispers, track them, speak back. But it came with a cost. Each time she used her gift, it burned part of her soul. And still, she chose to fight. The whisper war had begun. It wasn't fought with armies. It was fought in dreams. In hidden memories, in thoughts people didn't know they had. The enemy whispered, "You are alone." But Lena answered, "You are not." The flame-born spread across the stars, lighting the fire, mind by mind, soul by soul. But something darker was rising. A being even the enemy feared, a voice that whispered to them. Older than the hearts, colder than space, and it had only one goal, to silence the fire, forever. The whisper war was spreading. Lena and the Flameborn were winning small battles, saving minds, silencing lies, lighting the fire of truth. But the whispers were changing. They had become colder, heavier, slower. They no longer. They made people. Forget. Reyes stood on the bridge of Argon 1 again, looking at a screen filled with lost names. Whole colonies had gone dark. No signs of attack. No bodies, no wreckage, just silence. No one remembered them, not even their families. The names vanished. From Earth systems, like those people never existed. They're not whispering now, Reyes told Lena. They're erasing. Lena nodded. I know the one doing it, she said quietly. No, I felt it in the hollow. Reyes looked at her. What is it? She answered in one word. Adian. Not a creature, not a voice, a presence that fed on thoughts themselves. It didn't kill people. It consumed their existence, like they were stories being unwritten. Even the whisper creatures feared it, because once Adian touched a world, not even the enemy remembered it. We light fire to fight whispers, Lena said. But this is deeper. If whispers lie, Reyes asked, what does Adian do? Lena stared into the dark. It unwrites the truth. They followed strange signals to a dead star near the edge of known space. There, hidden in orbit, was a black cube, no markings, no sound. No gravity field. It pulled on the mind, not the body. The Flameborn called it the box of silence. Inside it, Adian waited. Lena, Reyes, and 2 Flameborn entered. The air was thick. Walls moved like liquid as they walked deeper. Their thoughts slowed. Reyes couldn't remember his father's name. One Flameborn forgot why they came. The other whispered, "Who is Lena?" and dropped dead. Adian didn't attack with weapons. It erased identity, and the closer they got, the more their own minds vanished. Lena screamed and lit her hand on fire. Trying to burn a symbol into the floor, it didn't stay. Even fire couldn't survive in Adian's void then. A shape formed, a figure made of black smoke and memory, a face without details. It didn't speak, but they all heard it. You are stories. I am the ending. Lena fell to her knees. She felt her name slipping away, her voice, her pain, her fire gone. She closed her eyes then. She remembered one thing, just one Nova Eden, the green fields. The silence after the attack. She stood up. I remember, she whispered, and if I remember, I exist. She opened her mind wide and screamed a name into the dark. Adian. The cube shook, the figure flinched, and for the first time, Adian responded not with silence, but with fear. You cannot remember forever, it said. But Lena smiled. Then I'll teach others to remember too. She raised her hands, lit her soul, and for a second, fire returned to the cube. Not normal fire. Memory fire. She burned her own story into space. Her pain, her loss, her fire. The story of Nova Eden. The story of a peaceful place that fought back. And in doing so, she lit a spark even ATN couldn't erase. The cube collapsed. Not exploded, just ceased. The crew awoke outside, drifting in escape pods. Lena was unconscious. Reyes held her hand. "You won again," he whispered, but her eyes didn't open. Her mind was still in the fire, still fighting. On Earth, a strange thing happened. People started remembering old dreams, dead colonies, lost names, faces they had forgotten. One child whispered, "I dreamed of a girl on fire. She saved us." Lena's body lived, but her mind was now fire, traveling through thought, burning lies, our rebuilding memory. The war wasn't over, but, for the first time, the enemy was afraid of fire, afraid of her, afraid of us. Darkness was spreading, not through planets, not through weapons, but through thoughts. Whole civilizations began forgetting who they were. People forgot how to speak, how to dream, how to hope. The stars themselves felt quieter. The final phase of the war had begun. On Earth, Commander Reyes stood before the United Human Council. He was older now, tired, scarred. "We are running out of time," he said. "The whispers are fading, but not because we're winning. They are pulling back for one final strike." High above Earth, a strange object appeared. It wasn't a ship. It was a void, a dark crack in space. It didn't move. It simply was. From it came the final message. You cannot fight what you cannot remember. Lena's body still slept in it. Healing pod, but her mind was everywhere. She had become something else. It's the memory flame. She spoke in the dreams of soldiers, in the hearts of the broken, in the courage of the weak. One message repeated: "You are not alone." On Mars, miners stood together and lit torches, even though no enemies stood near. On Luna Base, children drew pictures of a woman made of fire. On Earth, strangers looked at each other and nodded, silent but united. Across human space, without being told, people were preparing for the final whisper. The void in space grew larger, and then it opened. Ships appeared, but they weren't ships. They were shadows, empty creatures with no names. With no faces, they didn't speak, only stared, and behind them came Adon, not a shape, not a sound, just forgetting. The enemy didn't fire weapons. They released waves of silence. Stations powered down. Weapons stopped working. Minds began to blank out. Even the stars around the void dimmed. This was no longer war, it was erasure. But then, one ship powered up. It wasn't large, it wasn't armed. It was Rhea's personal scout ship, and inside it, the pod opened. Lena stepped out, eyes glowing like suns, hair burning like fire. Not angry, not afraid, just ready. She stepped onto the surface of the ship, stood tall, and whispered one word: "Remember." Round the galaxy, people heard her. And they answered not with weapons, but with memory. They spoke the names of lost colonies. They told stories of Nova Eden. They said out loud, "We are human, we are flame." Every story told became fire. Every memory shared became light. And together, the galaxy burned not with death, but with truth. Adian began to shrink. The nameless creatures screamed, because they finally... Into the void, her body couldn't survive it, but her soul was no longer limited. She took with her every story she had ever heard, every face, every story, pain, every hope, and she gave it to the darkness. The void tried to erase her, but she smiled. "You can't erase what is shared." And she exploded in a wave of golden fire. It reached across systems. It lit the minds of billions. It even touched the enemy and gave them a memory of fear. The void closed. The shadows vanished. Silence faded, and across the stars, people began to sing, to speak, to remember. Lena was gone, but not lost, because now she lived in every story, in every fire lit on a cold night, in every whisper that said, "You are not alone." Epilogue. Years later, children in schools were told the story of the Flameborn, of Nova Eden, of a girl who chose to fight with memory instead of guns, and how, when the galaxy stood on the edge of forgetting, humanity remembered.